Gundam Epyon. Hey again, Robert 184 2Rs2Bs, Gundam.tk, good to have you here. After you've already seen the D-Box and all the parts, it's time to finally put the Master Grade Epyon all together. When all is said and done, you're going to have a completed Master Grade Epyon that really does look like a Master Grade, and the first impressions right away is just the colors. The red pops. It's very bright, very vivid. The navy blue stands out, and the yellow, especially on the forearms. Everything there looks good, but it's the proportions about this that really make it stand out. It really does. You can see the Katoki influence all over this, I think. For a more zoomed in view of the upper body, and not something I do too often, but these legs really do stand out from the traditional Gundam just plain white legs with some sort of a kneecap on them. On first impression, this comes across as a very solid kit, no loose or jiggling parts, but in terms of mobility, if you bring up the front skirts, you're able to bring the legs this far forward and off to the side. You could probably almost get full splits with that. But of course the knees are supposed to be able to bend off. There goes the side of the ankle. The knees are supposed to be able to get this 180 here, but the ankles themselves move a little bit this way, front and back. If you pop this out, you're going to get that kind of a bend mechanism there, and the feet move off to the side. And something that I'm pleasantly surprised about is every once in a while these Master Grades, their feet are a little bit too movable, but these ones seem to want to remove or return to their default position, which hopefully is going to be able to keep everything flat foot without too much trouble. For the upper body, you're able to rotate it this much, so don't expect a full 360, and because it's on a ball joint there, you're able to move it forward, or to the side, but not very much forward and back. For the arms themselves, they rotate around, but this part you may see here doesn't feel like it's on all that securely, so maybe you can squeeze it on just a little bit more, but it does seem solid from what I've seen so far. The elbows itself are going to bend up like this, which is going to pop it off on the shoulder, but otherwise, pretty good mobility, except I wonder if that's going to be impaired once you put on the massive wing set. I was a little bit concerned about the head being too high because the neck actually came across as being really high, but so far no issues, and I think that it's hidden just well enough behind that white and red piece to make it look quite sharp. But like Wing Zero without his wings, Epyon just doesn't look right until you put these on. So fans of Gundam Wing from all those years ago, what do you think about this new version of the Epyon? But let's go straight to the million-dollar question, because looks, I think it's got this nailed. The wings are going to add a lot of weight, but it's going to be offset by the fact that they're low enough that once you pop these up, I had them in the down position before, you can slide those up, that whatever you do, he's going to be leaning on his legs, so he's sort of got 4 points touching the ground. So this 4-point stance is going to work, except for the fact that when I tried to put him on the rotating base, well here, I might as well just show you. When I go to put it on the base and the wings hang off, I did have a few times where he wanted to topple over. But with just a little bit of practice, even though it's not being supported by the wings, you can get the body just lined up properly so that the center of balance isn't offset too much. But again, if you're not having the wings on the ground, you're going to have to be careful. Once you get the balance just right, you can do stuff like this though, with no negative repercussions so far. For a pose like this though, don't expect anything without the wings helping out. But my overall impression is that no matter what angle you put the wings forward or back or spread out at, it's gonna look good. And I think that the proportions, the fact that he's got a small, sleek, streamlined body with such an oversized set of wings that just power up and down, I think they couldn't have got the looks any better. For the battle of wide Gundams, you can see the 00 Riser has the edge both in height and overall just body size, and especially in the width, although the Epyon's wings really do fill it out. But it's the details where, again, you have the sleekness of the legs of the Gundam compared to the intricate and detailed, bad guy-looking legs over here on the left. For something that's in-universe and proportional, the anime version of the Wing Gundam is quite a bit smaller wings and body and height. And fans of Endless Waltz, you've probably been waiting like I have to see these two together. Here we have the Wing Zero Endless Waltz version, which is pictured on the cover of the box. You can always get a good indication of which suits really go together by looking at their cover art, especially in the background. But the Epyon, much wider, a little bit taller, and the wingspan, well, I guess it depends on how you adjust the feathers, but the wing pretty much for size goes here. But besides the size, it's probably this comparison that I was most interested with, and I guess you might as well start with the colors, because if you look, this is a little bit dusty, but it is just old, faded plastic compared to just how new, bright, and vibrant everything is in here. From the gray and the legs and the thighs, to the inner frame, to the head, to the fact that it's got that little extra bit of red under the chin. Everything about the colors and the fact that it actually has a white proper part on there instead of a red sticker just covering a white part over there. Especially the yellow. I thought the gold looked good on the old one until I saw the yellow on this one, so pretty much everything about this new one looks better. But in terms of aesthetic differences, the feet are very similar, the ankles are very similar, although this one again has those gray details. The wing fins here are much stronger and these ones move. The legs, this one, the gray just looks a little bit cheap because it's the same color. Everything about the waist section is more detailed over on the Master Grade, and it's the chest that this one just seems to have a little bit of a plus because these black pieces just stand out a little bit more, and the yellow just stands out a bit there. But the difference is, remember that these are actually lined in black, and so are the wings. So if you didn't do that, you would have a very, very old-looking plastic there compared to this one, which just comes across as being an absolute colorful beast. Yes, even unpainted. To get the beam sword on, you're going to switch off the manipulators and put on the set that actually holds the weapons, and it does have only one place that you can actually attach this into the palm. Combine that with attaching this onto the hip mount, so you may be able to hear the wings scraping along the bottom, but here's an idea of the beam sword in action. First of all, it's great that they give you the extra cable, but I wonder, depending if you're going to do ground-based poses primarily, you'll probably want to trim that down a little bit because you'll notice that the hip armor is being awkwardly thrust backwards there. But in terms of the actual size of the blade, that is just fantastic. I don't think there's been any Gundam that has a beam weapon that has been depicted that well. To arm it with the heat rod, you're just going to pop this up and plug this into the back of the forearm, which actually keeps the shield on the side. Yeah, I'm looking at you again, V Gundam. So even if you don't forgive the less than thrilling pose that this is in, beam sword on and heat rod in hand, all of a sudden this Gundam, which went from being a little bit skinny without the backpack on to being pretty much oversized with the wings, is all of a sudden armed to the teeth by just having two of the largest weapons that outside of the XS Gundam, I think that you're ever gonna see on a Master Grade. This is the custom attachment that comes to attach this to the Action Base 1, and you'll notice that it's very different from the way the 00 or any other new Master Grades have done it. This kit was made to go airborne though, both in MS and MA form. And with the oversized weapons, the wings back and extended, and then no issues at all with the weight because the base is going to take care of that, you can really see why. You do have to be careful though with your posing. You may have seen that the forearm fell off earlier, and it's very easy to do, especially with the extra weight from the heat rod. Please be careful though that when you put the wings asymmetrical, as if the balance is off to the left or right too much, you can have issues with this both coming off the action base and actually detaching itself from the connector. Yes, falling off the action base can look quite painful. Again and again and again. Now on first impressions, when you see a pose like this with the wings back, open, the heat rod going up, although now it's resting on the beam sword there, the head looking down quite angrily, you may be quite impressed with this, but I gotta tell you that this took about 5 or 6 times. It tumbled off there more than once, the arm fell off, the forearm kept falling off, the beam sword falls out, so you are gonna have issues getting them there, but once you do, it's hard to argue with the results. Seriously, this isn't getting fun. The dashing forward type poses also work. There you can use that as sort of a trailer, which reminds you again that it's just a dragon's tail. But one thing that you have to be really careful of is this hand. In some of the poses on the box and the artwork, they show that you have this hand in all sorts of interesting positions, But because there's only one actual attachment, when you plug it into the manipulators, it has to be facing forward. So you're not going to be able to get the effect of the width of the sword in most poses unless you actually pop it out of the manipulator and just sort of manipulate it into whatever photogenic position you choose. On that note, I'm going to wrap up my review of the actual mobile suit of the Epyon. Don't forget to stay tuned to see the transformation to mobile armor mode. And outside of this, really the only thing is, of course, I'm impressed with the way it looks, except for the fact that that connector is not working at all. It's clicking into place, it's making all the right sounds, it seems to be sturdy until you actually need it to be. But outside of that, some of the results, as you've seen, may look pretty impressive to some eyes. Anyway, everybody, Robert184 Gundam.tk, as always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the mobile armor and then my final verdict on this kit, and stay tuned for lots more. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. As far as I can tell, this is the only way that the master grade can truly surpass the old high grade. Whoosh!